People where the expedition is? Oh, okay. So formally well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. फुल रख दो हमारा स्टाफ नहीं है
so the people have come, expedition all have come. Huh? Where are they? Why they can come here? No? Come.
Yes.
Very good morning. Respected Hon'ble Union Minister of Earth Sciences, Dr. Kiren Rijiju, and my colleagues and the first winter team for the Arctic and all other distinguished invitees and friends. Very good morning to all of you. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all for this important milestone function. Because as you know that Arctic we started though in 2008, but we are only managing with the summer. Most of the research activities was pertain to summer related activities. Though it is very important that winter also a lot more changes are happening in the Arctic, not only in the atmospheric, but also in the ecosystem, as well as in the space weather related aspects. So it is important for us to understand the Arctic atmospheric as well as ecosystem and other aspects. So we have started, of course, for last 3 years, we were aiming for going for the winter, but finally we are able to reach this year. Finally, we are able to reach this year for starting this Arctic winter expedition. So I don't want to take much of your time and welcome you all for this important milestone function of Ministry of Earth Sciences. I will once again welcome you, sir, for this making your time available irrespective of your parliament time and other things. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good morning. I'll manage with this. Good morning, sir. First of all, warm welcome from National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, the Indian gateway to the polar regions. As you are aware, actually, that India have been very active in the entire polar regions for the long time. So starting from 1980s, and since 2000s, actually, we also forayed into Arctic region, and now it's time for us to move forward. So I have a small presentation actually to give, highlighting what we have been doing in Arctic and what are the importance of actually what we do, and how we going to make difference in future. Can I have the slides, please? First one, please. Yeah, thank you. Sir, actually, as you know that the global warming has become a reality. But however, the impact of global warming in Arctic is much more dramatic than the rest of the world. Next one, please. So what we have, due to the increased warming in the entire globe, as I said, it's unevenly distributed, and there is one thing which finally leading to Arctic amplification, which is actually that temperatures on an average have risen by nearly more than 4 degrees Celsius across the Arctic for the last 100 years, with a localized warming up to 7 degrees Celsius. Actually, as you can see, some places like which are closer to the Svalbard, and the region is becoming so dramatically even up to 7 degrees Celsius. And the impact of this is actually that Arctic sea ice is actually declining at a rate of more than 13% per decade. And even the Greenland ice sheet is actually dramatically melting, which is unprecedented for the last hundreds of years. Next one, please. So, but how do this warming is actually impacting us? That's what makes difference to us. So if you look at the temperatures, actually, less ice means less reflected heat, meaning more intense heat waves worldwide. But also it means more extreme winters, because the polar jet streams get destabilized by this warmer air, and it can meander southwards, bringing bitter cold to even places like subtropics and tropics. And the communities, depending on the Arctic region, is endangered. Even places like tropics, because of rising seas and endanger most of the coastal cities. Even small island nations, by exacerbating the coastal flooding and storm surge. That is, even if a small level of increase in sea level, but the storm surge makes it much more dramatically impactful. Third, it impacts the food, because the polar vortices, increased heat waves, unpredictability of weather cause significant damage to the crops, and on which the global food systems are depending. Shipping routes, of course, is going to change as the ice melt. New shipping routes open in the Arctic, but while these routes looks to be very tempting, it can also be extremely dangerous for the environment as well as the disasters. It can, of course, impact the wildlife. The loss of ice and melting permafrost spells trouble for the Arctic wildlife, polar bears, walruses, and all this, everything else. And the most importantly, it comes to conflict between the wildlife and people. And finally, the permafrost. The Arctic permafrost store large amounts of methane, a greenhouse gas by itself, that contribute to climate change. And when it thaws, the methane is released, increasing the rate of warming. Next one, please. But what happens in Arctic does not stay in Arctic, because the warming Arctic impacts the whole globe, as it is interconnected with the globe, including the Indian monsoons. There's a growing evidence that actually the Arctic cryosphere has potential to affect humans outside the Arctic through sea level rise. That's a global one. Also, even influencing atmospheric circulation, which impacts even the tropical climate system. Like studies have clearly demonstrated that actually that increasing sea ice and Arctic sea ice loss could lead to increased tropical sea surface temperature, increased precipitation in the tropics, shift in the position of the intertropical convergence zone, which is nothing but the monsoon belt, and strengthen location of Hadley cell, which impacts the monsoons, and so on. This next one, please. Even our own studies clearly show that there is a possible relation between Arctic sea ice and the Indian summer monsoon rainfall, extremes. Like episodes of rapid decline in Arctic is concurrent with a rapid increase in extreme precipitation events, especially over the western, west central India. This is just an example, and growing evidence from our own teams clearly show that actually it's going to be quite dramatic in coming years. Next one, please. If you look at the Indian presence in Arctic, we started only in 2007. Unlike in Antarctic, we started way back in 1981. We took our first expedition under the leadership of none other than our Dr. Risik Ravindra, who is sitting here, who is with us at Ministry now. And our first Indian research station, Himadri, was also opened in 2008. And you have been there to the station, sir. It's a very small place, but it's quite very strategically located. We are, a little bit far away from North Pole, but the North Pole being in the ocean, so we also had an opportunity recently to go to the North Pole. The major thrust areas we had, next one, please. The major thrust areas we had in Svalbard has been actually on marine science, because there are many fjords around in that region, which actually preserve the climate change impact, as well as actually the various life connected to these things actually are impacted. Atmospheric science and space science, aerosols, trace gases, and the precipitation, because that's something which is very dramatically changes in Arctic due to the climate change. Of course, environmental science, looking for the contaminants in the food webs and long-range pollutants, because Arctic is the key area for a long-range pollutants going all the way from the rest of the world. Cryospheric science, that's a study of glaciers and sea ice and all that related to snow and things. And the geosciences, to understand the past, the climate changes and so on. There's some of those pictures of our studies, we do it. So if you look at the major scientific activities and outcome, we had nearly about 200 visits actually to Arctic since 2007. which we hosted nearly about 400 people. And we published a very large number of peer-reviewed publications in international journals, about more than 160. But if you look at the pie diagram, you can see that actually mostly the nearly 60% of our studies have been, coming to the atmospheric sciences and the biological sciences, because this is a very key area to study these two subjects. And till now, we were restricted mostly to Svalbard, as you know that actually, and that too in the summer months. And this year, as rightly, encouraged by you, we are expanding to a year-round observations in Neelisant. And we also plan to explore other critical realms in Arctic. 2023 summer, we had a small visit to Canadian High Arctic. And potentially, we plan to have another small expedition to Greenland to identify the possible scientific avenues over there. Next one, please. Thank you for visiting the Neelisant, sir, as well as visiting Himadri Station in June 2023. Because that encouraged us to take up much further activities in that region, and also expand our activities. And we are very grateful. Actually, you also could open our atmospheric facilities over there. Next one, please. So as we move forward further, actually, we are moving to new frontiers. Because Neelisant being a small place, at the same time, there are logistical constraints. So, but we were exploring the possibilities of getting, collaborative activities through, West Coast along the Svalbard region, and also using, expeditions on other research vessels of the countries like Korea. For example, in this case, 2019, we had a cruise on board icebreaker RV Aron of the Korean Research Institution. And we are expanding further to Central Arctic. Next one, please. We had an oceanographic expeditions on board an icebreaker of RV Conference Hakon of Norwegian Polar Institute in 2022 and 23. And that gave us a first-time opportunity to be at the North Pole. So we had 4 scientists, circled in there, actually very small. You may not be able to clearly visible. Actually, they are being part of that teams. And this clearly indicates actually the opportunities. If you have a research vessel, we can further expand in Arctic. And next one, please. The another frontier has been the Canadian High Arctic. We had signed an MOU with Polar Knowledge Canada some time back, actually. And because of the COVID, it got delayed. And 2023, we initiated 2 small projects in Canadian High Arctic, using the Canadian High Arctic Research Station by the Polar Knowledge Canada. However, Canada being, the approaching the high north in Canada has been very, 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 it's a kind of complicated process. We are still exploring the early stages of that. So we are looking also the potential frontiers in Greenland. Yeah, so.
Next slide.
All right, so next slide, sorry. I keep forgetting that. So we had a first-time opportunity to participate in the, Eastern, East Grip, that is a Greenland ice project, which is essentially a European and American-based project, actually. We just got an opportunity because we wanted to explore the other possibilities in future. As part of the team drilling the deep ice cores, we were there. And this gives us a, impetus to go further, actually, into the Greenland. So we are exploring Station Node, which is actually originally a military base and now become a scientific base in the 82-degree north, as a potential frontier in Greenland. So we are in discussion with the Danish institutions who are working over there to have a possible visit to and then initiate some projects over there. Next one, please. If you look at the India in the International Arctic Forums, actually we have moved a lot from since we have started way back in 2007. Now we are an Arctic Council observer state actually since 2013. And we are very active in all this Arctic Circle Assembly forums and so on. We are very active in the International Arctic Science Council and all its working groups. We joined the Svalbard Integrated Arctic Earth Observing System, which is called SIOS, in 2019. We are a member of the Neelisant Science Managers Committee, NISMAC, since 2008. We are a council member in UArctic, which is a consortium of institutions actually called as the University of Arctic. And NCPR members are also members of the research priority teams, what they call as RPTs, for the 4th ICARP, which is the International Conference on Arctic Research Planning, which is an essential, the organization which decides actually what is the future of Arctic science projects could be, and what are the knowledge gaps, and what we should be heading into. Nearly 4 of our scientists are part of this now. So that work will be happening in coming 1 year or so. So all these organizations, what you can see below, we are very much party to it, of which actually I would also like to highlight, we are a very important member in the Asian Forum on Polar Science actually, which have also helped us, our team members, to access Arctic, even in Antarctic. So we are joining actually this year also in Korea, actually in Antarctica also, carrying out research activities. Next one, please. So if you look at the India's Arctic policies, are actually that we need to expand our activities across the Arctic as well as through time and space, because the scientific research and science and research is the prime pillar of the India's Arctic policy. Next one, please. And so therefore, our vision is to transform Indian scientific endeavors with a pan-Arctic approach. We want to expand our scientific activities to other critical and core Arctic realms. Of course, our manpower is limited manpower is a constraint. We want to establish a network of observatories to study the land, sea, atmosphere, cryosphere interactions. We want to initiate sustained observations in Arctic Ocean to understand the sea ice flows and its impact on monsoons. Again, a constraint is actually we don't have our own polar research vessel. We rather look for collaborations and opportunities with other institutions, which is a constraint. We want to have a sustained engagement in the Arctic Council and its various Arctic forums to support India's strategic interests. Finally, we also would like to have a year-round presence in Svalbard, which is critical for us with the new scientific projects for optimal utilization of the facilities and a new scientific outlook. Next one, please. So the idea of the importance of winter expeditions actually been happening for the last few years, but finally we had the opportunity starting from this year with the year-round push also, sir. The Himadri operations for a year-round observations will help us for a more optimal and efficient utilization of the research station. It will also help us to address the knowledge gap and data deficiency during winter polar nights, especially some of the core areas of space physics and atmospheric sciences, and some amount of biological science, because life during the cold, we still have no idea of that. So that's going to help us. Next one, please. So we started actually again like a normal process actually with a wide advertisement across the all media available. We invited new scientific proposals focusing only on winter time this time, and we received an enormous number of proposals, about 41, and only about 40% of them finally got accepted through a very high external peer review system, having constituting an expert selection committee meetings, etc. Finally, what we chose is 15, because looking at the core importance of the winter as a clear opportunity to carry out space physics and the atmospheric sciences. And the only 15 projects actually, which is mostly restricted to atmospheric science and space physics, space sciences, astronomy and astrophysics, and some on biology, and very limited in oceanography because the accessibility during that particular period is very limited. Next one, please. So the winter expedition first batch, actually, we have the people here actually with us who are basically only 4 researchers actually, because unlike summertime, winter actually we are restricting the number of people there because actually the kind of limited possibilities to move outside. The outside work is very limited. So the most of the research actually will be limited on the, using the observatories actually we can keep on this in this labs and other facilities. So we have people from the Raman Research Institute in Bangalore, Mr. Girish. Can you get up? Yeah, right. And Mr. Surendra Singh from Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune. He works on atmospheric science. And Mrs. Atulya, who is from NCPR. She's an atmospheric scientist. And Mr. Prashant Rawat from IIT Mandi, from again atmospheric science. The major projects and the objectives during this particular time will be this first month would be, they'll be spending only about 1 month time there. And then we will have another batch of people going. So the observations of radio wave signals from the outer space, study of atmospheric lightning phenomenon over the Arctic during winter, study of the precipitation and the role in climate change, study of atmospheric aerosols and the role in polar climate. These are the major objectives of the first batch. Next one, please. Oh, yeah. That's sir. Actually, sir, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to flag off this particular first expedition to winter Arctic, and thank you for your guidance.
Maybe before your talk, we can introduce our people. What is exactly you are going to say? You are going to do in Arctic? Can you just
One
it's
sentence.
very short,
One
one or two sentences. Tell about yourself and just to tell briefly.
Sir, I'm Girish from Raman Research Institute, Bangalore. Okay, so as mentioned just now, 4 of us are going there for this special event, the first of the Winter Arctic expedition. And then we'll be, the 4 major areas that we'll be focusing on is...
Only your areas.
Only one area. Okay. So basically it is about astronomy and astrophysics. So the aim is to do the characterization of the site around Himadri vicinity, and then we'd see whether it can possibly lead to astronomical observations. So that is the main goal of this.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Prashant Raut from IIT Mandi. So we will be looking at the climate absorbing aerosol, light absorbing aerosol, which are leading to localized temperature change in the Arctic.
Good morning all, I'm Atulya from NCPR. I'll be looking at the precipitation and warming connections, and I'll be maintaining mainly the instruments which are already installed there in Himadri station.
Good morning, sir. Myself Surendra Singh from Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune. My area will be study of atmospheric lightning by the electrical characteristics of cloud forming over Arctic region during winter season. Thank you, sir.
How do you get lightning in winter in the Arctic? That too? You got something? Yes. I think we can.
Thank you.
Our respected Secretary of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Dr. Ravichandranji, all our senior officers, scientists, and especially our 4 researchers who are going as a first ever expedition team, which is winter expedition to Arctic. It will be very interesting to see how you function there in winter because you are going for the first time. So, Mr. B.S. Girish from the Space Sciences and Astronomy, Ms. Atulya from the Atmospheric Science, and Mr. Surendra Singh also in the field of atmospheric science, and Mr. Prashant Rawat also studying in the field of atmospheric sciences. It will be, I think, quite a learning also because when I went there, I realized that the area of studies will be same, but the conditions will be different. So when the conditions are different, then the studies, the nature of your activities also will change. And also when we talk about the climate sciences, the weather condition and the timing is also important because everything is not same in different timings. So whatever you observe in winter is different from what you see in summer. So these are quite critical. So as we move much deeper into these studies, we will learn more. It's very interesting. I always say that common people are not very well aware of things which are actually so common. And when I saw our Himadri station in the Arctic, I realized that we have a potential and people trust us because the Norwegian Polar Institute people, the director and his team, they also had shown lots of faith on Indian scientists. They expect that India will make substantial contributions in climate science. So our presence in the Arctic during the winter will add substantial value in the whole process. I must also thank the Norwegian authorities for giving all kind of supports. They have been of great help in establishing our center and also managing it. Another interesting I observe is, although it's a far off, but the contacts are live, and the studies, whatever they do there in the Arctic and Antarctic, they are constantly, live connected with our center. So NCPR, Dr. Tamban Melot and his team, I feel you are doing commendable job. And when I visited the center, I was very impressed with the way the center is being managed and run. And also you have set certain objectives to be achieved, which are short term, long terms. As I had mentioned in last gathering of the ministry scientists, that we must set our goals. Short term, what are we going to do? And next 25 years, as the country enters into the period of Amrit Kal. So as Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has already set the agenda to make India fully developed, fully capable of taking care of everything and making India a developed nation, I feel that the scientists will have to play a great critical role. So all the researchers, scientists, our young science students will have to make huge contribution, because a nation cannot progress without absolute progress in the field of sciences. So we will have to make next 25-year goal that if India is to become a developed nation, what are the contributions we will have to make? From making Doppler radar to all those small instruments to building of the icebreaker ships, we will have to become Atmanirbhar in true sense. So the soft studies on the research side and the hard development of manufacturing all the necessary equipments for our future scientists and for our research purposes, we will have to push very hard. So each center under the Ministry of Earth Sciences will have to make a concrete document which will be a vision document. I'm very happy that last time when we took the review meeting, the progress being made are quite encouraging. So NCPR, you have a vast canvas of your functioning areas. So I'm sure with the vast ocean leading up to the polar regions, the contribution of NCPR will be very substantial. And to present ourselves in such very iconic locations are not only symbolic, but it enhances our status, our presence in the moon or in the deep ocean, polar region. These are very important. So I'm very glad that while on the one side, we are making our submersible, which will be going deep up to 6,000 meters inside the ocean bed, and then also breaking many frontiers. These are quite interesting to witness. So as India progresses, we are really breaking the barriers. I'm very encouraged by that. So our 4 initial people going to the New Ellison Center of Himadri will really pay a rich dividend in the future, because in a way you are setting a standard for others to follow. how you operate during the winter will set certain standards. Because from here, we don't really understand polar region. But once you are in the polar region, you really easily understand the whole globe. That is what I have found. We have too many things happening in other parts of the world. The round shape, the whatever oval shape of our planet Earth is very interesting. So within this, while we are so much of engulfed into our daily routine, problems, issues, so we don't really care here that even if one particular species or one particular things have a certain negative or positive effect, we really don't care much. But in the polar region, if one particular species of birds, if it vanishes or it extinct, then it's a huge matter of concern, because that means the climate change has brought real impact. Because the Norwegian Polar Region Research Institute, the director told me that when he came to Svalbard some 40 years back, that whole fjord, that was complete ice even in the month of October. So now it's just water. So in the span of 40 years, if the whole ice is melted, that means the future seems to be quite threatening. It's not that easy actually to handle this kind of situation. The last one important conference which was held in Paris, the French president initiated the One Planet Polar Summit. So I realized the entire theme was how to prevent ice melting. If the focus is shifted to prevent the ice melting, the sea level rise, the effect on the lives of the coastal region, these are taken care of. So rather than talking much about the sea level rise, we must focus on prevention of the melting of ice. So that is where we will be hitting at the root of the problems. So the whole cryospheric studies about North Pole, South Pole, and the third pole we call Himalayas, and some other areas of huge storage of glaciers, it's very interesting. That is why I had mentioned last time also that we need to enhance our studies in Himalayas. The melting of glaciers in the Himalayas is also posing a huge threat to our own civilization. So every study is actually connected to the other study. So these are all linked. I'm sure our scientists are linking the dotted lines of each respective studies and then draw a parallel how to converge all those studies. So I'm not going to say much because our director, Dr. Melot, has already explained in detail about the purpose, the objectives, and the definite roles being given to all our team members. And since our winter expedition team are from reputed centers, so each will add so much of values to the expedition and to their respective centers and to the larger scientific communities. I'm happy our former director also is attending today's event. So we are beginning this day in a small function, but the whole purpose is very important. So function is small, but purpose is big. And from this year, this will be a regular feature. So that is how we have to think in terms of administrative side also. What are those required support system we will have to enhance? Our ministries support in terms of budgetary support, allocation of other resources, and there are not much scope to venture out of the limited restrictions which are imposed there. Our station is small but beautiful. I had had a good time with our team members that time. Dr. Vijay was there. Our both the ambassadors were with me, the Indian ambassador to Norway and the Norwegian ambassador to India. So we really had a very interesting moment there during the 2 days stay in Svalbard, and especially in New Ellison, and I could learn many things. So that is how, once you are there physically, you get a sense that how it feels like to be there and what are necessary support system which are required. So today you all are living and you will spend a very interesting time there. It's a winter and you will see not only your interesting other things related to your subject, but the conditions there. I always say that I wish I could go in the winter, the darkness, the northern lights, and so many things, and in the polar region, and those polar bears, the interesting animals and birds which are there, very friendly in a way. Polar bear also, I'm told that it's not really dangerous, but sometimes maybe they are not used to encountering human beings, so it could be dangerous, but all the safety measures are there. They have the licensed guns. So these are provided once you are venturing out of your camp. My best wishes to the 4-member team. And I must thank the director of NCPR and the whole team for managing this expedition. And our secretary himself is a domain expert, he knows things, and our very supportive team of officers in the ministry, everybody is on board. So the basic purpose, as I said, you know it, but larger goal is to make India fully developed country by 2047 and making a huge quantum contribution from our ministry. So this all depends on our team who are working in the fields. So have a safe trip and come back safe. And if you can share things before you leave, you can share with us. Best wishes. Thank you very much.
So thank you, sir. So as such, all the participants to the first expedition has introduced themselves, sir. So we would like to end up the session now. So I will give a vote of thanks, sir. So thanks to the Honorable Minister first for agreeing to inaugurate this launching of the first Indian winter expedition. And sir, we have seen your interest in the polar science. As such, your first visit to any of our institute in ministry was to NCPR, and also your first visit to any foreign country after taking over as a minister was also to Arctic. So that indicates your interest in the polar science, and with your encouragement, we have gone ahead with this winter expedition for the first. I am thankful to Secretary for giving the encouragement and giving us full support for organizing this first winter expedition and also for this organizing function. Thanks also to Director NCPR and his team. 2 members are there who are looking after the Arctic program, for making all the arrangements from selecting the different projects, then making all the logistic arrangement for a comfortable stay of the team in our Arctic station. Thanks to AS and FA also for giving us the funds for organizing all these events, sir. Expedition.
If you want to get more fun, take him also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thanks to GS also. He has also got the chance to visit Arctic Station, and he has given some very important recommendations also. So we are taking care of. Thanks to Dr. Rasik Ravindra. During his tenure only we have started this Arctic research. Sir. So thanks for participating in today's meeting. Thanks to all the participants and their parent organizations who have sponsored them and then spared them almost for 1 month to work in the Arctic. Thanks to all my other colleagues from the ministry. Thanks to media and social media team, ministry, and also thank to the protocol section of the ministry for making the arrangement for this function.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
With permission from the Honorable Minister and the Secretary, sir, we are opening the House only for 5 minutes for any media questions available.
Yes. कितने लोग आए हैं मीडिया के? अच्छा है तो हाँ. तो आई थिंक हमसे ज़्यादा ना पूछे, जो जाने वाला टीम है उनसे पूछे, और हमने तो जो कहना था कह दिया. All the 4 members, they are coming from reputed centers and institutions. उनसे पूछे, और आप ये आज का जो ये एक तरह से ये सेंडिंग ऑफ एक प्रोग्राम है, तो इसको हम पॉजिटिव वे में जितना अच्छा चीज़ें हैं वही पूछिए, नेगेटिव बात मत पूछिए.
They will be able to tell more about after coming back.
फिर भी चलो शॉर्ट में पूछे to make news or whatever. माइक है, माइक ये दे दो, लो माइक दे दो, ये दे दो. पूछना होगा क्या? सब सेटिस्फाइड है? अरे ये तो इससे खुशखबरी और क्या हो सकता है?
They have been already briefed very well, sir.
कोई डाउट नहीं है. तो आज कितने बजे निकलेंगे आप लोग?
कल निकलेंगे ना सर.
ओके. वैसे मैंने वहाँ कहा नहीं है, खाने पीने का बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है वहाँ, तो मैंने इसलिए नहीं कहा कि कोई वेज भी हो सकता है. और रेनडियर खिलाते हैं ना? रेनडियर इज अ डेलिकेसी देयर इन, क्योंकि वहाँ लिमिटेड चीज़ है. फ्रेश रेनडियर ही है, बाकी तो दे हैव टू get it from the mainland. The restaurant is very interesting. Everybody eats.
So, how many of you gone to earlier summer? Anybody? No. This is the first winter.
So that means from Longyearbyen, they'll be going by ship.
No, sir.
No.
Flying actually, sir.
They can land in the snow.
Right.
The flight which we went by.
The down here actually, yes, sir. Okay. But only thing is very limited during winter time compared to summer time.
We got stuck there. We were planning to come back by ship, but suddenly weather cleared.
Yeah, weather is a
Ship
problem.
is because it is icebreaker.
It will take a long time also.
Right.
Weather cleared and the ship should be. Now, in summers, ships are good option, but since the air service is there, the normal aircraft cannot land. They don't have that special one. And when we got a window of 5 minutes, we landed. We were hovering around for nearly 1 hour.
That's a good opportunity.
So while moving, no, but down was all cloud. No, we couldn't see anything. Then 5 minutes we got the window, we landed, and flight took off, but we could not come out because it was started snowing and all, and we could not go to the glacier also because it was suddenly chilling, blizzard and all these things. Then after 2 hours, I think it suddenly cleared for some time. Again, we took off. Luckily, otherwise we were planning to come back by ship.
Weather is a big, player.
Weather.
Polar region always.
Yeah. ठीक है तो फिर we will call off the meeting and the team, they are all medical check everything. So everybody is fit, fine, good.
Sir, I would like to also introduce my colleagues, Dr. Manish Tiwari, who looks after the Arctic program at NCPR, and Dr. Rohit Srivastava, who is the main man, runs around the background, all the work. Thank you.
The 4 people come here to take photographs.